The vibrating sound came from inside our mattress. At 3:15 a.m., while my wife Jessica slept peacefully beside me, something was buzzing underneath us with an urgency that made my blood run cold. I lay there listening, counting the vibrations. Short bursts, text messages, lots of them, coming from somewhere inside our king-size bed that we'd shared for 8 years of marriage. Jessica didn't stir. She was a heavy sleeper, always had been. But I was wide awake now, my heart pounding as I tried to make sense of what I was hearing. We both kept our phones on the nightstands. Hers was right there, dark and silent. Mine was charging on my side. So what was vibrating inside our mattress? I waited 20 minutes, listening. The buzzing came in waves. 3 messages, then silence for 10 minutes, then 5 more messages, then 2. Like someone was having a conversation, waiting for replies, getting increasingly desperate for a response. When I was certain Jessica was deep in sleep, I carefully slipped out of bed and felt around the edges of the mattress. Nothing, but the buzzing was definitely coming from somewhere inside the bed frame. I grabbed my phone's flashlight and crouched down, looking underneath. That's when I saw it. Taped to the underside of the box spring, wrapped in a plastic bag. A phone. A phone I'd never seen before, with a bright screen full of notifications. My hands shook as I peeled away the tape. The phone was still buzzing with incoming messages. The lock screen showed 47 unread texts from someone named Alex with a heart emoji. The preview text that I could see without unlocking it made my stomach drop. Baby, I can't stop thinking about this afternoon. This afternoon. Yesterday afternoon, Jessica had said she was going to her book club. She'd been gone for 4 hours. I stared at this device that had been hidden inches from where I slept every night, feeling like the floor was falling away beneath my feet. How long had it been there? How many nights had I been lying on top of evidence of my wife's betrayal? The phone buzzed again. Another message from Alex. I know you're probably asleep, but I had to tell you how incredible you look today. That red dress. Red dress. Jessica had worn a red dress yesterday. Said it was new, that she'd bought it for book club because she wanted to feel pretty. I'd complimented her, told her she looked beautiful, kissed her goodbye, and told her to have fun with the ladies. But she hadn't been with the ladies. I crept to the bathroom and closed the door, turning on the fan to mask any sound. The phone was an iPhone, same model as Jessica's regular phone, but this one had a different case, pink instead of her usual black, like she'd been careful to make sure she wouldn't confuse them. The lock screen kept lighting up with messages. I could see fragments without unlocking it. Can't wait for Thursday. Your husband will be at work, right? The hotel room is booked under my name. Thursday. Tomorrow was Thursday. I had a client presentation at 2 p.m. that would keep me out of the office until at least 5. Jessica knew my schedule better than I did. I sat on the bathroom floor, holding this secret phone, watching messages pop up from my wife's lover. Each notification was like a knife twist. I love you so much, Jess. When are you going to leave him? I can't keep doing this behind his back much longer. When are you going to leave him? The words burned into my brain. This wasn't just an affair. This was an exit strategy. I thought about Jessica lately. She'd seemed happier over the past few months. More energetic, taking better care of herself. New clothes, new perfume, longer showers, more time at the gym. I'd been happy about it. Thought maybe she was finally coming out of the depression she'd struggled with after her father died 2 years ago. But it wasn't grief recovery. It was the glow of someone in love. Just not with me. The phone buzzed with a call. Alex. At 4 a.m., I watched the screen light up with an incoming call from the man my wife was planning to leave me for. The man she'd been texting at 3 a.m. while lying next to me. I didn't answer, but I memorized the number. Alex Morrison, according to the contact info. I'd never heard that name before. I put the phone back exactly where I'd found it, taping it to the box spring with shaking hands. Then I lay in bed next to my sleeping wife, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was living in a stranger's house. Jessica woke up at 7 a.m. like always. She smiled at me, that same smile she'd been giving me for 8 years. Morning, honey. Sleep okay? Fine, I lied, watching her face for any sign that she knew I'd discovered her secret. Nothing. She was either an incredible actress or completely comfortable living this double life. She got dressed for work, kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me. The same routine we'd had for years. But now I was watching for the tells I'd missed before. The way she kept her regular phone face down on the counter while getting ready. The way she checked her watch. Like she was running on a different schedule than the one she'd shared with me. After she left, I called in sick to work. I needed time to think, to plan, to figure out what I was going to do with this information. I found myself Googling Alex Morrison with Jessica's workplace, her gym, her usual hangouts. Nothing. Then I tried social media. There he was. Alex Morrison, 34, works at the marketing firm 2 buildings down from Jessica's office. Divorced. 1 kid. Handsome in that way that would make women look twice. His Facebook was mostly private, but I could see enough. Photos of him at restaurants I recognized. Places Jessica had claimed she'd gone with coworkers or friends. There was even a photo from 3 weeks ago at the Vineyard where Jessica said she'd gone for a work team-building event. She'd come home with wine and stories about trust exercises and icebreakers. But in Alex's photo, I could see Jessica in the background. Just her profile, but it was definitely her. Wearing the blue blouse she'd said she'd spilled wine on during the team-building event. She hadn't spilled wine during team building. She'd been on a date. I spent the day building a timeline. Jessica's late nights at work that had become more frequent. Her new interest in going to happy hour with colleagues. The weekend she'd said she was going to a conference in Denver. The girls' trips that had started happening monthly. Everything started to make sense in the most horrible way possible. That evening, Jessica came home with takeout from our favorite Thai place. She was in a great mood, chatty about her day, asking about mine. I watched her lie to me about her afternoon meeting that had run long, knowing she'd probably been with Alex. "Oh, and I might need to work late tomorrow," she said casually, opening the containers of pad thai. "Big client presentation on Friday, need to prep." Thursday, the day Alex had texted about. The hotel room booked under his name. "What time do you think you'll be home?" "Probably not until 8 or 9, maybe later." She looked at me with those green eyes I'd fallen in love with in college. "Will you be okay with leftover Chinese for dinner?" "Sure," I said, forcing a smile. "I'll probably work late too. That Morrison account has been a nightmare." I watched her face when I said Morrison. Nothing. Not even a flicker. If Alex Morrison meant anything to her, she was hiding it perfectly. That night, the phone under our mattress buzzed constantly. I lay there listening to the rhythm of their digital intimacy happening inches from my body. Around midnight, it finally stopped. Either they'd finished their conversation or Alex had gone to sleep. But I was wide awake planning. Thursday morning, I told Jessica I'd be in back-to-back meetings all afternoon, but that I'd try to call her around 3. She nodded, kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me and hoped my presentation went well. Instead of going to work, I drove to the downtown Marriott. Alex had mentioned booking a room, and there were only 3 hotels within walking distance of both their offices. I sat in the parking garage at 1:30 p.m. and waited. At 2:15, I saw Jessica's car pull in. She parked 3 spaces away from me, spent a few minutes in her car checking her makeup in the mirror, then walked toward the elevator. She was wearing the black dress she'd bought for our anniversary dinner last year. The one she'd said made her feel beautiful and confident. She was wearing it for another man. 20 minutes later, Alex Morrison walked through the garage. I recognized him from his photos, but seeing him in person made it real in a way that social media stalking hadn't. He was tall, athletic, the kind of guy who probably played college football. Everything I wasn't. He walked toward the elevator like he owned the place. Like meeting married women in hotels was just another Thursday afternoon for him. I sat in that parking garage for 2 hours, watching other people come and go, thinking about the 8 years Jessica and I had been together. Our wedding day when she'd promised to forsake all others, the house we'd bought together, the vacations we'd planned, the future we'd mapped out. All of it had been happening while she was planning a different future with someone else. At 4:30, Alex came back to the garage first. He looked satisfied, relaxed, like a man who just spent a pleasant afternoon doing exactly what he wanted to do. He got in his BMW and drove away without looking back. Jessica appeared 15 minutes later. She looked different than she had going in. Her hair was messed up despite her attempts to fix it. Her lipstick was gone. Her dress was wrinkled in a way that told the story of the past 2 hours. She sat in her car for a long time before starting the engine. I watched her check her face in the mirror again, reapply lipstick, spray perfume, erasing the evidence of her afternoon. I followed her car from a distance as she drove home. She stopped at the grocery store, probably establishing an alibi for why she was coming home at 5:30 instead of 8 or 9 like she'd claimed she would. By the time I got home, Jessica was in the kitchen making dinner. She'd changed into yoga pants and a t-shirt, like she'd been home for hours. The black dress was nowhere to be seen. "How was your presentation?" she asked, smiling at me over her shoulder as she stirred something on the stove. "It went well," I said. "How was your meeting?" "Productive. Really productive." She turned to face me, and I searched her face for any sign of guilt or nervousness. Nothing. She looked happy, satisfied, like someone who just had a very good day. "I thought you were working late tonight." "Oh, the client had to reschedule. Last-minute thing. So I decided to surprise you with homemade dinner instead of leftover Chinese." She kissed my cheek, and I could smell Alex's cologne mixed with her perfume. That night, I lay in bed listening to the secret phone buzz with what I assumed were Alex's post-encounter messages. Jessica slept soundly beside me, probably dreaming about her afternoon at the Marriott. I spent 3 more weeks gathering evidence. Photos of them together at restaurants, credit card statements showing hotel charges, more social media detective work that painted a picture of a relationship that had been going on for at least 6 months. But the breaking point came when I found out about the apartment. I'd been tracking Jessica's location through our shared family plan, something I'd never thought to check before. On a Saturday when she said she was shopping with her sister, her phone showed her at an apartment complex across town for 4 hours. I drove there that afternoon. Jessica's car was parked outside Building C. I waited until I saw her come out, laughing and holding hands with Alex Morrison. They kissed goodbye in the parking lot like teenagers, like people who were completely free to love each other without hiding. They weren't just having an affair. They were playing house. That night I confronted her with everything. The phone, the photos, the hotel receipts, the apartment. I laid it all out on our kitchen table like evidence in a court case. Jessica looked at the pile of proof of her betrayal and started crying. Not the tears of someone who was sorry, but the tears of someone who'd been caught. "How long have you known?" she asked. 3 weeks. "But I want to know how long it's been going on." 8 months. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "It wasn't supposed to happen. We met at that conference in March, started talking, became friends. It just evolved. Like betrayal was a natural progression instead of a choice she'd made every single day for 8 months. The apartment? Alex's. He got it so we could have somewhere to be together without having to sneak around hotels all the time." "Were you ever going to tell me?" Jessica was quiet for a long time. "I don't know. I kept thinking I'd figure out what I wanted, how to handle everything. I never meant to hurt you." But she had hurt me. Every lie, every fake work meeting, every time she'd come home from being with him and kissed me hello had hurt me. The secret phone buzzing under our mattress while I slept had hurt me. "Do you love him?" "Yes." The word came out as a whisper, but it hit like a shout. The divorce papers were filed 2 weeks later. Jessica moved into Alex's apartment officially. No more sneaking around. I kept the house and most of our belongings. She took her clothes, her books, and both of her phones. I found out later that I wasn't Alex's first married woman. He had a pattern of targeting wives who seemed unhappy or vulnerable, of promising them a different life, a better life. Jessica wasn't special to him. She was just convenient. She realized this 6 months after our divorce was final, when she found out Alex was already seeing someone else's wife. Someone newer, younger, more exciting than a woman who'd already proven she was willing to cheat. Jessica called me crying, wanting to talk, wanting to explain that she'd made a mistake, that she'd thrown away something real for something that turned out to be an illusion. But by then I'd already started healing. I'd learned to sleep through the night without listening for buzzing phones hidden in my mattress. I'd learned to trust my instincts instead of dismissing them. I'd learned that sometimes the person you think you know best is the person you don't know at all. The secret phone taught me that betrayal isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, hidden under your mattress, buzzing with someone else's love while you sleep peacefully above it. Sometimes the biggest lies are the ones told in silence, in the space between what someone says and what they do. I never did figure out how long that phone had been hidden there, but I learned that it doesn't matter how long someone has been lying to you. What matters is what you do when you finally hear the truth.